Should we bore ourselves with this Trump guy?
I was just reading this one comment. If US can take steps to stop outgoing of money, then India should stop outgoing of brains. So this guy's saying, let's keep our good people here and make India better. What a novel idea. Mexico doesn't care. They just let anybody they want leave.
I know, yeah, totally. They act like, too, like, we really need these people from wherever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just like India and other things. And it's like we don't have enough smart people here. But it's like our school system is so broken. People can't afford to go to school here. It's not an issue of brains at all. It's,
The countries in Europe where college is free, it's based on meritocracy.
and you can't just have your like rich, actor parents like pay for you to get through, like in that huge scandal when all those actors and actresses were paying for their kids to get into school. Liberation Day. Have you been liberated?
Yes.
I feel liberated. I just took a dump.
Effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
Oh, Oh, I'm going to go out and buy a car right now. I'll be back.
Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind...
I'm not sure if he's orange enough. Should I watch the CNN one instead? I think he's oranger on the CNN one.
Yeah. He's yeah, he's just trying to look like me. It's cool.
Yeah, he's jealous. Wants to be a tiger.
All of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the
How does
Republicans.
that hair stay on in that
That's
wind?
what happened. But we will charge them approximately
get me
half
some
of
of that
what they
hairspray.
are and have been charging
Magnets.
us. If you look at that, China, first row, China, 60%.
China first row.
That's tariff charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So,
But yeah, it's like everyone's freaking out at these tariffs. But it looks like from that list, the tariffs are approximately half of what the country itself is taxing the US products. So he's like kind of like matching them, it looks like, but at half. Except the ones that are just 10%, he's just matching the 10%.
7%.
But what is it? Yeah, that Vietnam up at 90%. They're like taxing us so much. And then Cambodia, 97%. That's insane. Although I don't know if that's for everything. Like that's probably, it might be dependent on the good.
So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people.
Let's charge them the same.
They like me, I like them. The problem is
I know,
they
right?
charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan.
Yeah, I wonder if
with
some of
an
these
8
countries like Vietnam and Cambodia, they're just so like poor. They're just like, and don't produce enough. They're just like, this is all the money we make is from like taxing.
A lot of these companies went from China to Vietnam. They're now.
Totally, yeah. And like the ones that are large enough will be fine. But like, yeah, you wonder if like a smaller company like started outsourcing there. But you know, that's kind of what you get for like deciding that you don't want to like share your revenue with the American workers. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All the money for me. And then you can enjoy the pain and misery on your own too. But yeah, we've been talking about like whether or not this will work. It's like, it's crazy how long this has been going on. It feels like my whole life, you know, we've been outsourcing jobs and losing jobs. And like, I remember bringing up tariffs like so many times in the past. And like, it's almost like, it's weird how much it's come up now because I'd remember like 20 years ago, I'd be like at school talking about tariffs and everyone just like would like roll their eyes or look at you like you're speaking a foreign language. Like they didn't even know what a tariff was. You know, you're like, dude, they're taxing our stuff. And then you're like, maybe we should tax theirs more. And they're like, no, how will
It's
I
how
buy
our
a cheap
country got money
iPhone?
before income tax.
I know, yeah. But no, they're like, no, let's tax ourselves and the workers instead, even more, instead of people that can afford to buy stuff.
It was just so corporations can get slave labor
Holy yeah.
to raise their stonks.
The word tariff almost became like a dirty word, like you weren't allowed to utter it or something. They're like, how dare you? Like, how am I gonna buy my cheap iPhone, you know?
There's a NAFTA when we were kids, before we even got out of college.
Yeah, and that was a disaster. And it's ironically like Ross Perot was like the one guy that was like vocal, outspoken against it, who was like high profile. And he got like
Yeah.
made fun of so much by like the media and like running as an independent. They're like, we have to make sure we never have an independent. He like made Bill Clinton and George Bush look like idiots in the debate. And they're just like, in his, you know,
Saturday
they're-
Night Live made fun of them because they're liberal, sucking bags.
yeah, they always try to pretend like they're
Hollywood
speaking up for
pedophiles.
the little working class guy, but they're really just like making fun of the guy who actually was sticking up for him. You know, and it was so eerily similar.
They don't have
Redacted.
children.
Well, in hindsight, they put in Clinton, the Epstein dude, and then, you know, yeah, they P. Diddy'd and Weinsteined him. That was the era when, like, that stuff was at its height, dude. The Weinsteins and the P. Diddy's and the Clintons.
And Obama. Michael Obama.
Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46% and much higher for certain items like cars, you know, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very.
I remember that was like a thing in that didn't register me the first time I saw it, but that movie, like the anime Spirited Away, like by Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. You know, the main character is this young girl. They're on a road trip and like they want to show their family is pretty well off, like they're wealthy. And it doesn't register to American audience, but they're like driving in like an American automobile or something, like a foreign automobile. It doesn't register to the American audience that means that they're like wealthy, because it's like they're not driving a Japanese car, because they don't understand that like Japan taxes, the tariffs are so high on foreign automobiles that the only way you'd be able to afford one is if you're rich.
Was Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. We have to do something. A trade is not fair. And he said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman.
I know that.
He was
You.
a fantastic man. Cambodia, oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 40. South Africa.
I'm a white guy.
Bad
I'm ready to
things going
kill.
on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them. Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. At the same time, we will establish.
All the communist regimes have really high tariffs on us.
Yeah, well, how else are they gonna make money, dude? Communism doesn't make money. It doesn't produce anything. You gotta tax the capitalist nations. That's how you make your income.
I can't wait to buy a new Cambodian graphics card.
Yeah, we're gonna stick it to Cambodia by taxing those Cambodian goods. Yeah, like what do they even produce?
Communism. I like how it's not actually reciprocal.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Well, do you feel liberated on Liberation Day?
The only thing that bums me out is so all these companies are gonna come back home and open up shop, but not in California because they're communist over here.
Oh
Gavin
yeah.
Newsom's a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like the perfect time to be open for business and attracting new businesses. And like California, just they're all leaving. They're like done. Their taxes are so bad. So it's just gonna be like Texas gets all these businesses, and like Arizona and these other states. We just lose out. Thanks to Gavin. Yeah, we're all gonna get Gavin Newsomed. So that's what California's in the business of now, is exporting pod people.
What's to stop a next Democratic presidency to just do a bunch of executive orders and undo all of this and then have all the companies leave again?
And then, like, when everything's falling apart, they'll be like, see, those tariffs were a bad idea, weren't they now? Like,
This
everything
company
will go down in
stocks went
price.
down that open up shop overseas so they could take advantage of slave labor because American has anti-slave labor laws. What are we going to do?